While putting two single beds together in my hotel room in Copenhagen, I found this thing attached to the wall under the bed. It makes no sound, nothing is pressable, and there's no smell. I even unscrewed the top, but that only gave me more questions. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a bedbug trap, a device hotels install to protect their rooms. These traps are placed near beds because that is where bedbugs travel to reach a sleeping guest. As the insects move toward the bed, they get caught inside the device before they can spread or establish an infestation. By monitoring these traps, hotel staff can detect a problem early and treat the room quickly. It's a quiet, hidden part of keeping guest rooms clean and pest-free.
I found this on my trip to Greece a couple of years ago, washed up on a beach in the Gulf of Corinth. The body is metal, but the clear bulbs are made of glass. I asked some locals, and they had no idea what it was. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a cat's eye, a piece of retro-reflective road furniture. These units are embedded into road surfaces to mark lanes and edges. The glass bulbs you noticed are retroreflectors, which bounce light from a car's headlights directly back toward the driver, making the lines glow at night. The metal housing protects the reflectors and anchors the whole unit into the pavement. This one likely came loose from a road and washed into the sea before ending up on the beach.
What are these wooden thingies? I found 10 of them in the garage of a super old house in southern Alberta, Canada. They each have a screw and look like they're meant to hook onto something. Does anyone know what they are?
What you found are old carpenter's staging brackets, sometimes called wall jacks. Here's how they work. You drill a hole through the outside wall of a building, then insert the bracket and secure it using the screw and a block of wood behind the wall. Once several are mounted in a row, you lay wooden planks across them to create a sturdy platform. This gave workers a temporary scaffold for construction, repairs, and other tasks up high. Simple, reusable, and effective before modern metal scaffolding took over.
I found this weird box in my mom's art studio. She doesn't know where it's from or what it's for. It has 2 holes, one empty, and one with a USB-C cord running through it. The cord is attached to a button, but nothing happens when I press it, and there's no power when I plug anything in. Does anyone know what this is?
What you found is the packaging box from a flying sphere drone toy. These are the small hovering ball drones that light up and float in the air. That little cable connected to a button was a demo feature. It let shoppers press the button to activate the toy's LED lights without taking it out of the box. So the box itself has no power source, which is why nothing happens when you plug things in. The cord only triggered the display lights on the drone when it was still inside.
My dad found this back in 1965. According to him, he dug it up in a field somewhere in Brooklyn, New York. I know it's a nutcracker, but I'm not sure about the history behind it, or what year it might be from. Does anyone know more about it?
What you found is a brass eagle nutcracker. These are commonly listed as vintage, and since your dad dug it up back in the 1960s, that description fits nicely. If you search online for a brass eagle nutcracker, you'll find prices ranging from around $10 to $30 on average, though some sellers list them higher. There isn't much documented about their specific history, but the decorative eagle design was a popular patriotic motif for household items like this one.
What is this small silver piece attached to the zipper on my pants? It sits right where the pull tab connects, and I can't figure out what it actually does. Does anyone know what it is?
This object is known as an automatic locking zipper slider. Inside the slider body, there are 2 small protruding teeth. When you let go of the pull tab, those teeth drop down and engage the main zipper teeth, locking everything in place. This keeps the zipper from sliding open on its own when you move around. The moment you grab the pull tab again and lift it, the locking teeth disengage and the slider moves freely. Some zippers include this mechanism, but most do not.
I recently moved into this home, and I'm thinking of remodeling the garage. There's this bell-looking thing mounted up high with wires running into it, but I don't know where the wires end up. Can I remove this?
What you found is a fire sensor. These are very common in garages. It's important to note this is not a smoke detector or a carbon monoxide detector. This device is specifically designed to detect actual fire, because garages often store flammable materials like fuel, paint, and vehicles. This type of dedicated detector adds an extra layer of protection. Before you remove anything, it's worth tracing those wires and checking whether it's still an active part of your home's safety setup. Removing a working fire sensor could leave a real gap in coverage.
I found this in my driveway while out with my dog, who's posing next to it for scale. She has run of the yard, so I figure she dug it up, but I can't find any holes except along the fence line. It's a metal piece with a curved hook and a sharp point. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a downspout hook, used to secure a round downspout to a brick wall. The rounded part cradles the downspout pipe, holding it flush against the wall. To install it, you strike the flat area off one side, driving the pointed end directly into a mortar joint between the bricks. This anchors the whole thing firmly in place without needing screws or drilling. It's a simple, effective fastener. And interestingly, this is the second one like it I've identified in 2 days.
I went to Dirtle Door yesterday and noticed this red tag sticking out of the rock face. It has numbers and letters printed on it. My guess is it tells you if the rocks are coming loose, or maybe someone just stuck it there. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a geological crack monitor, sometimes called a telltale. It's inserted into an existing fissure in the rock, and the code printed on it, like the numbers in your photo, is a unique identifier. Experts return over time and check whether the tag has shifted, fallen out, or whether the gap around it has widened. That tells them how fast the cliff is eroding and if a rockfall is likely. At Dirtle Door, the chalk and limestone are prone to sudden collapse, so authorities monitor these constantly. It's a simple but effective way to watch the earth move.
Does anyone know what this is? I found it at my granny's house. It has a row of letters along the side, and when you press one, something inside seems to move. Any ideas what it was for?
What you found is an index. It's a small organizer designed to hold index cards filled with addresses, phone numbers, recipes, or notes. The cards are stored inside alphabetically. When you press the letter that matches what you're looking for, the lid pops open right at that section. This saved you from flipping through every card by hand to find the right entry. Before smartphones and digital contact lists, this was a fast and tidy way to keep important information at your fingertips. It's a clever mechanical shortcut that made everyday organizing much quicker.
What camera is this? I found it in my mom's old stuff and I'm so confused. It looks incomplete, like it's missing a piece, and it runs on AAA batteries. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a Marvel-themed camera. The reason it looks like it's missing a part is that it was designed to use interchangeable faceplates featuring characters like Spider-Man. You could snap different character covers onto the front, which is why the body looks bare without one attached. These novelty cameras were marketed toward kids and fans, combining a basic point-and-shoot camera with collectible superhero styling. It runs on AAA batteries to power its functions, so it isn't broken at all. You're just looking at it without its character plate installed.
There's this small metal disc taped onto the side of the stairs at my Airbnb. It's just a flat, round piece of metal, nothing else attached to it. I can't figure out why anyone would stick this here. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is the mounting base for a motion detector stair light. The disc is metal because the light itself attaches magnetically, so you can pop it off to change the batteries or recharge it. When the sensor detects movement, it switches on to illuminate the steps, then turns off once you've passed. In this case, the actual light portion is missing, leaving only the base behind. These are popular safety add-ons, often used by people who've tripped on stairs in the dark.
I found this in an old biochemistry lab. It has a wooden handle and a top that looks like brass with a cone shape. A blade swings out with the sharp side facing the cone, and it falls open really easily. I'm not sure if it's broken or meant to do that. Does anyone know what it is?
It's a cork borer sharpener. In a lab, cork borers are hollow metal tubes used to punch clean holes through corks and rubber stoppers. Over time, their cutting edges go dull. You slide the borer over that brass cone, then swing the blade into position against the tube's edge. Rotating the borer against the blade grinds a fresh, sharp bevel. The loose swinging blade is intentional, letting you set the cutting angle. So yours isn't broken at all. It's working exactly as designed.
I found this on my walk yesterday, but I didn't pick it up. It's a small metal component just lying there on the ground. I have no idea what it does or where it came from. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a 25 decibel attenuator pad for radio frequency circuits. These are commonly used in cable television infrastructure equipment. An attenuator reduces the strength of a signal by a set amount, in this case 25 decibels, without distorting it. This keeps signals within the proper range as they travel through the network, preventing overload at the receiving end. In cable systems, maintaining consistent signal levels is essential for a clear picture. Small parts like this are a routine part of the equipment that keeps television signals running smoothly.
I got this as a souvenir from Vietnam, and even the person who bought it doesn't know what it is. It came as a pair. I first thought it was a shoehorn, but it curves outward on the sides instead of inward. Any idea what it's for?
What you have is a pair of Dua Bep, or Vietnamese cooking chopsticks. Unlike the thin chopsticks used for eating, these are larger and often flattened or curved, which is why they don't look like your typical pair. They're used in the kitchen for handling hot food. One common job is working with freshly cooked rice, where the wide shape lets you scoop, spread, and cool the rice without smashing the individual grains. Simple but very practical tools.
What is this kitchen or apothecary tool? I believe it's an antique pharmacy device. It looks like powder could be collected into that channel and used to fill a paper. What do you think it actually is?
This object is known as a vintage tobacco cutter. It has a metal blade mounted on a wooden base, and it worked much like a small guillotine. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, tobacco was sold as dense, compressed blocks called plug tobacco. A customer would place the plug on the base, then press the hinged blade down to slice off smaller pieces for chewing or pipe smoking. These were fixtures on general store counters. The channel you noticed simply caught the loose bits as they were cut.
What is this strange toilet found in a hospital bathroom? It has two small shelf-like projections sticking out from the sides of the bowl, almost like ears. Regular home toilets don't have anything like this. Does anyone know what they're for?
It's a specialized hospital toilet fitted with side supports. Those ear-like brackets are designed to hold a collection pan in place beneath the seat. When medical staff need to gather a patient's stool or urine for testing, the pan sits securely on these supports instead of dropping into the water. This lets nurses collect samples cleanly for lab analysis, checking for infections, digestion problems, or blood. The brackets simply keep the pan steady and level, making an unpleasant but important task far more hygienic and reliable.
I found this on the lawn of an apartment building, broken and discarded. But what was it before? My first thought was some kind of toy, but my husband thinks it's a wooden C-clamp. Does anyone know what it actually is?
It's a damper arm from a mechanical piano. Inside every piano, dampers are the parts that stop the strings from ringing. When you release a key, this wooden arm lowers a felt-covered pad onto the string, silencing the vibration instantly. You can even see the green felt on the top part that presses against the string. When you press the key or the sustain pedal, the arm lifts away, letting the note ring freely. Each key has its own damper, so a full piano contains dozens of these little arms working in sync.
I found this knife in a basement box of old silverware left by the previous owner. I thought I knew all the standard kinds of knives, but this shape is so odd. What is it for?
What you found is a serrated fillet or tomato knife. The design solves a specific problem. Soft foods like ripe tomatoes tend to squash under a smooth blade. The serrated edge works like a tiny saw, gripping and cutting through tough skin without crushing the soft interior beneath. The blade is often thin and slightly flexible, which also makes it useful for filleting. That forked or angled tip you may notice is designed to spear and lift the slices cleanly once they're cut, so you never touch the food with your fingers.
I found these blocks and wanted to use them as firewood. They have a wood pattern on one side, but something feels off about them. Is it safe to cook with these? Does anyone know what they actually are?
What you found is composite decking. Despite the wood grain pattern on the surface, these boards contain a ton of plastic mixed into the material. That plastic content is exactly why you should never burn them or cook with them. When heated, the plastic melts and releases toxic fumes rather than a clean wood smoke, making it unsafe for any food contact. Composite decking is designed for outdoor patios and walkways because it resists rot and weathering far better than real lumber. Keep these for building projects, not for the fire pit.
On a walk today along the south coast of England, I noticed something odd. 2 different fields had electric fences around the perimeter, and the grass directly underneath was brown and dead. One was in an open area, so it isn't about rainfall or water. Why is everything dead only under the wire?
The answer is simpler than it looks. Farmers deliberately spray herbicide along the fence line to kill the vegetation there. This isn't caused by the electricity itself. If plants grow up and touch an electric fence, they can drain its charge and weaken the shock, letting livestock escape. By keeping a clean, weed-free strip beneath the wire, the fence stays fully powered and effective. That's why you see a neat brown line running underneath while the surrounding field stays lush and green.
I spotted this from my flight from Dublin to Cleveland yesterday, somewhere close to Newfoundland and Labrador. It's a big white mass floating on the water. My dad says it's ice, but I think it's too far south for this time of year. Does anyone know what it actually is?
What you found is drifting sea ice. Your dad was right. Even though it seems too far south, this is completely normal. The ice actually forms much farther north during the cold winter months. As the seasons warm up, that solid ice sheet begins to break apart into smaller flows. Ocean currents then carry these broken pieces southward, where they slowly melt in the warmer water. So, the ice you saw near Newfoundland started its journey hundreds of miles to the north before drifting into view.
I got this at a garage sale, in a box filled with old tools. It's a metal hand tool, but I have no idea what job it was made for. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a saw set. It's a specialized tool used to maintain hand saw blades. When you use it, it bends the teeth of the saw blade alternately to the left and to the right. This alternating pattern is what allows a saw to cut a groove slightly wider than the blade itself, so the saw doesn't bind or stick in the wood as you cut. To use it, you position it over each tooth one at a time and press, setting the angle before sharpening. It's a classic piece of woodworking equipment.
What is this weird plastic thing marked on the street? I noticed it appeared recently, maybe in the past 2 or 3 weeks. It has an arrow and the numbers 45 on it, and there are more of these along this street and others, each with different numbers. There's also construction happening nearby. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a coordinate point marker used in construction projects. Before crews build anything, surveyors need to establish exact reference points across the site. These plastic markers are fixed to the ground to mark specific coordinates, and the numbers on them, like your 45, identify each point on the survey plan. The arrow shows the direction or alignment being measured. By placing a network of these points throughout the streets, engineers can accurately map the area and ensure everything is positioned correctly. So your hunch was right? The nearby construction is exactly what these are for.
This came inside the case of my new Hudson shotgun. I checked the manual, but there's no mention of it anywhere. It's a small flexible plastic piece with a colored flag on the end. Does anyone know what it does?
What you found is a breech flag, sometimes called a chamber flag or empty chamber indicator. It's a simple safety device that inserts into the open action of your shotgun. The long stem slides down into the chamber where a shell would sit, and the brightly colored flag sticks out of the ejection port. This gives anyone nearby a clear visual signal that the firearm is unloaded and the chamber is empty. They're commonly used at shooting ranges and gun stores, letting people confirm a weapon is safe at a glance without handling it.
What are these weird things I coughed up? I felt something tickling the back of my throat, so I coughed until these things came out. They're hard, flat, and sort of wooden. I have no idea how they got in my throat. I had chicken and fries earlier, but nothing on the plate looks like this. Does anyone know what these are?
What you coughed up are giant redwood seeds. These tiny flattened seeds come from the redwood tree, and their thin, papery wooden texture is exactly what you described. They're small and light enough to drift through the air, which is likely how one or two ended up settling at the back of your throat, probably carried in on a breath near an open window or outdoors. They're completely harmless, so there's nothing to worry about here. It's just a surprising bit of nature making an unexpected appearance.
What is this small tub made of old plastic, similar to Bakelite? The lid comes off and it measures about 10 centimeters in diameter. It feels heavier and older than modern plastic. Does anyone know what it is?
What you found is a container made of catalin, a type of phenolic resin. There's a simple way to confirm it. If you rub it with your thumb until it gets warm, the material should give off a distinct smell of formaldehyde. Containers like this were primarily used to hold loose face powder, cotton balls, or jewelry on a lady's dressing table. They were versatile too, sometimes used for just about anything, including table sugar. So this was likely a practical item sitting on someone's vanity or table.
What is this creepy howl that started making all the neighbors' dogs bark around midnight? It woke me up and lasted for a full hour. I thought maybe it was a pet, but then it started again farther away. I'm based in the UK. Could it be a fox?
It's a fox. The sounds these animals make are genuinely bizarre, and they catch a lot of people off guard. Many listeners have described waking in the middle of the night convinced there were people fighting or screaming outside, only to discover it was foxes all along. Given that you're in the UK, where urban and rural foxes are common, this is by far the most likely explanation. Their high-pitched, drawn-out calls carry a long way at night, which is why it sounded closer at first, and then more distant later.
I found this kitchen item, and I used a standard dinner knife next to it, just for scale. I honestly have no idea what it's for, or how you're supposed to use it. Does anyone recognize this thing?
It's a shrimp peeler and deveiner. This is a specialized kitchen tool designed to handle two tasks at once when preparing shrimp. It removes the shell and lifts out the vein that runs along the back of the shrimp. Tools like this are common gadgets in seafood preparation, letting cooks process shrimp faster than they could by hand alone. If you're not a fan of seafood, it's easy to see why an unfamiliar tool like this would leave you puzzled.
I came across this at a German supermarket, in the Rewe chain, and I honestly thought it might be some kind of genetically modified crop. It's a green vegetable covered in repeating spiral cones that form a striking geometric pattern. I couldn't pick it up without checking what it was first. Does anyone know what this is?
What you found is Romanesco cauliflower. It's completely edible, and it is not a GMO. It's simply a cultivated variety in the same family as cauliflower and broccoli. The eye-catching part is its natural fractal pattern, where each spiral cone is made up of smaller cones repeating the same shape at different scales. You can roast it, steam it, or eat it raw, much like ordinary cauliflower. So while it looks engineered in a lab, this beautiful pattern is entirely the work of ordinary plant breeding.
Which of these items surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more unknown items, check out the other videos on our channel. Hit like and subscribe.